We're on now.
I was going to say, okay. The 220 Quarterback Club is in session. I got a text message from Quinn Gray, Coach Gray, and he said he's on Capitol Circle. Should be here about 15 minutes. So I was glad to see Coach Simmons come. You know, if need be, he could always take up the time. But he told me to take up the time, and then Jerry called me and said, "You need to get started." I said, "Let me tell you one doggone thing."
Why you get started on saying that?
You know, Leroy has the unfunniest, the non-funniest, however you say it, jokes. Leroy would tell me a joke and he'd get to the end and then he'd just crack up. And I'm waiting, I'm saying, where is this? He said, didn't understand the joke. That's possibly true. Oh, coach is here. I had a story I was going to tell. I'm trying to remember what it was. Coach, Coach Gray, I'm glad to see you. Good to see you, Mr. Jackson. You and I have a lot in common. You were a quarterback, I was a quarterback. You're a Hall of Famer. I'm a Hall of Famer. I don't know if you knew that. I think you and I may be the only, and Vaughn might be the only Hall of Famers in here. So we're Hall of Famers, and they are not.
You got one note. You played pro quarterback. You played pro quarterback.
No, it was Little League, but football is football, people. Coach Gray has extensive coaching experience. My Little League team won the St. Petersburg City Championship, Coach. I know you lost the game or two. I was undefeated. But seriously, people, we have one of the greatest football players, quarterbacks in the history of FAMU football. He's all over the FAMU record book. I think he still holds the all-time passing yards. Brian, do you know if that's right? Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I don't want to talk about that sitting next to him.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know. You know, I'm about to say, let me tell you one doggone thing. I'm going to get to Coach Simmons in just a moment, but Coach Gray is in the FAMU Sports Hall of Fame and the MEAC Hall of Fame. I'm still waiting on a call from the MEAC Hall of Fame. You got one thing on me, Coach. You played in the NFL. I'm still waiting on my call. But I looked it up. He's passed over 7,000 yards, and that's the all-time record at Florida A&M. And Coach Gray, when I call Coach Simmons, you know, I have to check with Coach Simmons when I'm on, have another coach in. Because he gave me a look one time. I remember that look. But I said, I need Coach Simmons to introduce someone who's achieved so much and is also a true rattler. So At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the head coach of the Florida A&M University Rattlers, Coach Willie Simmons.
Thank you, Eddie. It's kind of hard to introduce someone after you gave all the stats already, so I'll do my best. Ms. Jerry, you always do that? Ask you to come behind him after he's done everything? Gotcha. So I'll clean it up like you have to at the house, too, so. It's a pleasure to be here. Obviously, the guys are on spring break this week, and so they're scattered all throughout probably the southeast right now, and they'll be back Sunday. We'll resume practices next Tuesday. We've 3 practices in so far, 2 in just helmets, and then Friday we went out and shoulder pads the helmets for the first time. So promising group of guys right now. Very, very impressed with what we've been able to do, and looking forward to the next 12 practices when we get back. So again, know you guys are looking forward to the spring game, and it'll be here before we know it. But before then, obviously at the end of this month, we'll have our pro day on March 30th. And we anticipate a huge turnout, even bigger than the one last year. We had 31 teams at our pro day last year to see Marquise. And with the performance that Isaiah Land put forth at the NFL Combine a couple of weeks ago, we anticipate all 32 teams being here for Isaiah Land, as well as obviously Xavier Smith being MVP of the HBCU Legacy Bowl and having a really good performance there at the HBCU Combine. And just earlier this week, he was on a podcast with Steve Smith, who's a probably future Hall of Fame wide receiver in the NFL. And Steve Smith, Xavier caught Steve Smith's attention after his performance at the HBCU Combine. And Steve Smith being a relatively undersized receiver as well, probably 5'9", just like Xavier, and having a great career. He wanted to see what all the buzz was about. You know, so he went and watched some film on Zay and was blown off his feet, just like we've been for the last 4 seasons watching him. So he's doing really well for himself. I think he's really positioning himself to, maybe even sneak into the later rounds. And right now, Isaiah Land is positioning himself to be our first drafted player since 2013. So really excited about what those 2 guys have been able to accomplish. And then obviously, there's some other guys as well, Christopher Dool, Jose, Wilmer Martinez, and so again, looking forward to seeing what Pro Day looks like coming up here at the end of this month. And but I'm honored to be here to introduce a guy that's been a friend, since I stepped foot on this campus back in 2002. Even before then, actually, I would come back when I was off in college and in the summertime, and we would go and throw and work out. All the FAMU guys and Florida State guys would be over, throwing, and I would come back and join them. And first time I met this gentleman, was a big pro-style quarterback, right? And was different than kind of the trend that FAMU had, leading up to him. Guys like Oteeman, Sampson, and some of those other guys, weren't the prototypical size, really good players. But I saw this big 6'4" guy towering over everybody, throwing lasers all over the field, and I knew that he had a special talent, and we've been able to build a bond, since then, really, and just happy for what he's been able to accomplish, obviously throughout this coaching profession, son of a coach, and so grew up in that type of environment, and obviously that parlayed into being a big time quarterback, got a chance to play at the highest level, which is what every football player aspires to do. And so, had this stint there with the Jaguars, and then got to find this passion in coaching, and started at the high school ranks, and we brought him back up here to coach here in town at Lincoln High School, and then got up into the coaching ranks. Coached college before then. Obviously, was here as a coach on the previous staff as offensive coordinator, and then went on and coached at Alcorn State, and then University of Memphis. And just recently was appointed the head coach of Albany State. So very excited to have another fellow Rattler leading his own program. It's always a big thing when you can lead your own program and put your own stamp on it. And so again, I know he's going to do a phenomenal job with just his football mind, his passion for young men. He does it for the right reasons, And so again, just very honored, and was our all-time leading passer up until 2019. where Ryan Stanley passed him. And so now he's the second all-time leading passer in FAMU history. And I know he's, of course, anytime, just like this year, Kareem sat there and watched LeBron James break his scoring record. Quinn had kind of I don't know what to call it, but was able to watch it and be happy because he actually coached the guy that broke his record. You know, Coach Ryan Stanley in high school, and that's a special feeling when somebody that you have a close personal relationship with recruited Ryan to FAMU. And so the very guy that he brought to this university to be a starting quarterback was the one who ultimately broke his passing record. So I know that's something that, didn't coach him, but recruited him, recruited him out of high school. So, but I know that's something that he really enjoyed. Talked to him a lot during that year, and just the support that he had for Ryan during that time as he was approaching the record really speaks to his character, speaks to who he is as a person, because it would be very easy for him to be bitter knowing that someone was about to break, a record in the time you can be a record. Eddie, you know what that feels like when you hold records, right? And people get close to breaking them. Ed is not as gracious with people breaking records as Quinn was when his was broken. So, your records have been broken. Yeah, you're right. Those stories are legendary. So nobody can tell as many stories that are false. So we're gonna see if we can get somebody to break that record. But I'm not gonna say that. We live. We live. I'll let you say that one when you get the mic. But I'm very honored to welcome one of our own, obviously one of our homegrown heroes, a Hall of Famer, FAMU Hall of Famer, MEAC Hall of Famer, and look forward to seeing him bring home an SIAC championship. Hopefully we're gonna claim it this year. So the head coach of the Albany State Rams, none other than Mr. Quinn Gray.
I first want to thank Mr. Jackson at 220 Club for inviting me here. This is, I want to say, my second time being in front of you all. Once back in 2014, 13, if I'm correct, when we were hired as a staff. Earl Holmes was the head coach at the time, and we had the opportunity to come speak to you all in this gathering. Obviously, it was I think it was at Old Country time back then. New time. Okay. So, but again, I am honored, and I am so happy to be here. When I got the call and was asked to come, it was a no-brainer for me. Although we had an athletic staff meeting this morning, I told my athletic director, hey, I got to leave at a certain time because I got to do what I got to do. All right. Obviously, I'm FAMU made, but I'm ASU paid. So I got to make sure I'm fulfilling my duties as a head coach and as an employee of Albany State University. But I do bring you greetings from Albany State as well. Our president, Dr. Marion Fedrick, our interim athletic director, Coach Skinner. But again, thank you for having me. I see a lot of familiar faces here. I never forget where I come from. Coach Simmons talks about, the records and all that good stuff. Records are made to be broken, right? Because it wouldn't be a record if they didn't keep record, right? So at the end of the day, records are meant to be broken. But the one thing that I do stay claim to is he broke my records in 4 years, but I did it in 2. Right? So with that, I do stay claim to the time frame of it. But as you said, Ryan was an absolutely phenomenal kid that we recruited from South Florida before we were let go, or whatever the case may be. Ryan came in and did a phenomenal job for Coach Simmons. Coach Simmons, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job for us here at the university, man. And I continue to wish him much success with that. And it's time now, and I think it's going to come for that elusive SWAC championship, right? So we're going to continue to support him and all that he does with him and his staff, and ultimately get to that HBCU national championship, right? So with that, make sure you continue to support him and everything that he needs for the program. But at Albany State, we're trying to make sure we're doing the stuff that we need to do to get ourselves in position to get that mythical HBCU championship, because we can't play in the Celebration Bowl, right? So for us, it's all about the SIAC and also the Division II National Championship. Our student athletes, as was said by Coach, they're in spring ball. We are in spring ball as well. We completed our second practice on yesterday in helmets. On Thursday, we'll be in shells. Friday and Saturday, we'll be in full, and Saturday will be a full scrimmage at Doherty High School to get ourselves out in the community a little bit and get in front of our fans and the community in the Albany area. I am very, very happy with what I've seen thus far from our team. We have a very enthusiastic group of young men that come to work every day. Do we always get it right? No, but that's what we're here for, to make sure that we're aiming to do things in the right way. Our kids have bought into our all-in. All right, all in for us is everything that is associated with Albany State and Albany State University football. All in, the A stands for attitude, right? Everybody in this room, everybody in this country, everybody in this world wakes up every morning with a chance to figure out what attitude they want to take. I know there's things that happen throughout the day that may affect your attitude, but I always tell my guys, those things that happen to you in life and those things that happen to you during the day, you have a choice of what attitude that you take towards it. You have a chance to make a decision on how you're going to react to certain things, and if you're going to allow that one thing or two things that happen to you during the day to affect your whole day, right? So we control the attitude that we take into each and every day, and the attitude that we utilize to react to certain detractors, all right? And then that first L stands for little things. The little things in life are what's going to make us big-time folks. We got to handle the little things in life. We got to handle the little things in football. Everybody in here saw the 2000 Super Bowl, right, with the Tennessee Titans and the Rams. It was the little things, the inches, that kept them from tying that game up and getting them to overtime to at least take that thing a few more minutes to try to win the Super Bowl for the Titans. There was something that didn't happen in that game that didn't allow them to get that extra inch, that extra 2 inches that they needed to reach that ball over that line to score a touchdown. So we have to handle the little things in life so that they don't become big issues later on down the line. And that second L stands for love, right? Middle-aged black guy talking about love ain't necessarily something that a lot of people worry about. But I tell my guys each and every day, every opportunity I give them, that I love them, because a lot of them don't hear it. A lot of them haven't heard it from a man, period. All right, and I think it's important for us to help our student athletes and these young people of the world understand that love is what's going to get us where we want to be. Right? The love of God is what's gotten me where I am today. And I have to give that same love that he's given me and my family to those young men that are going to be under our tutelage. I have a great coaching staff that we've put together, some guys that may be familiar to you all. But besides that, we emphasize the word love in our program, because that's what we're all about. Because if they don't know that you love them, they won't do nothing for you, right? And then that I stands for intelligence. You got to be smart in everything you do. You got to use your brain and make great decisions in life, on the field, off the field, socially, and athletically, right? In this day and age of social media, when you press that send button, you got to understand it ain't coming back. It may come back. It may come back negatively in a way that you never wanted it to come back, right? So understand, when you put something out in the atmosphere, it's out there forever. You can try to delete it. You can try and make it go away, but it'll never go away. It'll come back and bite you in some way, shape, or form, right? And at the end of the day, I try to help our young men, and I'm sure Coach Simmons does too, help them understand that what they put out there on social media, everybody's watching, right? Even employers. I tell my guys, if you got hopes and dreams and aspirations of going to the NFL, no matter how big or how small, understand the NFL is going to comb through your social media with a fine-tooth comb. And they're going to know who you are before you even know they're actually trying to get you to come play football in the NFL. They're going to go all the way back to elementary school teachers. Not only elementary school teachers, they're going to go talk to your barber, they're going to go talk to the custodians, because they want to know how you treat people, right? And you have to be able to treat people the way you're supposed to be treated, right? So I try to make sure our guys are smart about the decisions that they make, and make sure they're using their intelligence to do things each and every day. And then that last letter is N, and that stands for now. There ain't no time to wait, right? We have a mission and we have a goal that we've set for the season. We have missions, we have goals that we set in life. Why wait till tomorrow to do something that you can do today? We ain't promised tomorrow, right? Good Lord gives us a certain time. I go back to my Coach Taylor days when I was on his staff. He talks about that dash, right? Controlling your dash. You have every right to control that dash because there's a birth date and an expiration date. The only thing that we know the date that we was born and what we can do within that dash because nobody knows that ending date, right? And if you knew that, what would you do at the time that you had in between that, right? What would you do in order to live the life that the good Lord has put you on this earth to live, right? So understand what you do is who you are, and you need to make sure you're affecting people and giving people the best version of you that you can now. I wasn't hired at Albany State University to win an SIAC championship in 2-3 years. I was hired to win it this year. I wasn't hired to go after a Division II national championship in 2-3 years. I was hired to go after it this year, and that's the plan, right? I'm not going to sell myself short. I'm not going to have any more pressure than I put on myself because there's nobody in this world that can put more pressure on me than I'm going to put on myself, right? Because I have the name on my back says a lot. My father has put everything that's in me, he's put it in me because of the way that he affected the lives of young men down in the South Florida area, coaching high school football, and the effect that he had on the community stood with me and gonna stand with me for the rest of my life. So with that, our all-in mantra, that's what we're all about, that's who we are. I back up a little bit and pause because my wife couldn't make it, so if I didn't mention her, I'd be in a world of trouble. All right, so my wife, Ms. Quinn Gray, she's also a FAMU graduate, and she couldn't be here because we're actually in the process of moving. We bought a house here in Tallahassee, so she's from here, so I had no choice. But at the end of the day, I love this community, which is why I'm still here. Because if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be buying a house here, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, we love it here. Our forever home is going to be here. I commute almost at least 2 to 3 times a week back here to be with my family as much as I can. And obviously they commute a little bit because I try not to charge her with doing the driving. So I'm here as much as I can, but at the end of the day, I do have a job to do. As I said, I'm FAMU made, but ASU paid, right? So with that, I look forward to this upcoming season. Just so you all know, in this orange and green in here, Coach Simmons' bye week is October 14th. ASU homecoming is October 14th. So I'm inviting everybody, and I expect to see a whole lot of orange and green in the stands that same weekend. All right, our homecoming is October 14th, 2003, right about an hour and a half up the road. Y'all ain't got nothing to do. FAMU football will not be playing, all right? So I would love to see you all in the stands that weekend. Our schedule is out. We have a couple of important dates that have come about. September 16th, we will be playing Morehouse College in New York, in New Jersey, in MetLife Stadium, in the HBCU Classic. That will be televised. We do play Savannah State in Brunswick in the Coastal Classic, as well as obviously you guys know about the Fountain City Classic, which will be November 4th in Columbus, Georgia, against those folks down the street that stole our colors. All right. So with that, I do appreciate, Mr. Jackson, you guys having me. You all as the 220 Club inviting me here. I don't know, do I open it up for questions? I feel free to ask questions. I have plenty of time to answer questions. Yes, ma'am.
What's your wife's name and family name here in Tallahassee?
My wife's name is Quinn Gray. She's a 15-year educator, 16-year educator here. She works at Rudiger Elementary as a reading coach. My kids, my stepdaughter goes to FAMU right now, Destiny Hogan. My stepson will be at Albany State with me next year, playing football. My two boys are here in Tallahassee, Ashton and Quinn Jr. at Lincoln High School. They'll be on the football team with Coach Jimmy Tyson, who's a former Rattler as well. My daughter is in Jacksonville, but that's my family, and there's a bunch of them.
Who's her Tallahassee family? Did you say she?
The Pittmans, George Pittman. He's a Monticello, former, if I'm not mistaken, the former principal in the Monticello area. Mr. Gregory Pittman, who was a pastor here a long time ago, before he passed away in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Pittman? Yes, he did. He absolutely did. So the Pittmans are her family from Monticello and then the Leon County area as well. Oh, it's an easy crime.
Who are you playing for your homecoming game with?
Allen University. It's ironic because Allen University is a school my father graduated from. And he's in the Sports Hall of Fame at Allen University. For homecoming, Allen University is our contest. And my mom also attended Benedict College, which is across the street from Allen in Columbia, South Carolina. So it's funny that they're in the SIAC, and I'm going to have to, at some point, see them, you know what I mean? So, but for homecoming, I hate to do it to them, but it is what it is.
You're being recorded now.
That's fine. That's fine. Yes, sir.
What type of
Defense and offensive schemes we're going to be running. We're going to be running some offensive scheme that's going to put some points on the board. We're going to be an up-tempo type of offense. No, it's not going to be the Gulf Coast offense. I've learned a lot of football over the years, right? And for me to be able to put the tempo that we used back in the late 90s, early 2000s, along with the way that the game has transitioned to is the way that we're going to play football. We're going to use the tight end majority of the time. We have a number of schemes and gap schemes, zone schemes, inside zone schemes, vertical passing game, quick passing game, RPO systems that we're going to utilize. That's going to put us in the best situation to be successful. We'll have a multiple defense, a 4-2-5, 30 look. That's going to be able to do put a pressure on the quarterback, because typically these days in Division II football, quarterback play is good, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be the upper echelon. So what we're going to do, we're going to try to make those guys make quick decisions, get the ball out of their hands. Hopefully, get the ball out of their hands to the wrong team, which will be us, right? So at the end of the day, we're going to be a fast defense, a defense that's going to disguise quite a bit and put people in some bad situations to make decisions quickly. Yes, sir. Yeah, we actually, last year's team was a pretty young team. We have several returners that contributed to last year's team. We've lost a couple guys to the transfer portal that went along with the former coach over to Charleston Southern, which is fine. Because to me, if you're not committed to Albany State University, we don't want you there in the first place, right? So when it comes down to it, those guys that decided to leave, they weren't necessarily true to the blue anyway. So we actually we have a good group or good nucleus of guys coming back, along with the 7 FBS and FCS transfers that we got in mid-year, as well as the 18 high school signees that we signed this past January. So we have a total of 25 kids that we've signed, and then on top of that, you know, we got a couple more guys that we're still recruiting now that's going to probably come in and make a splash for us here in the fall. But with that, yeah, we got a good nucleus of guys returning from last year's team, and we're going to hang our hats on those guys. Yes, sir.
You know that coach at Valdosta State, and when you play Valdosta?
We play Valdosta State on September 9th, if I'm not mistaken. I do know Coach Jackson. He's hit me up already. We've talked a little bit. He's a friend of mine. We actually at the AFCA, the coaches convention, him and I had a great long conversation. I've known him for a few years now. Obviously, knowing him and building the relationship that we're going to build from here on out is a little bit different. So now I have the opportunity to build a more of a better relationship with him than I've had in the past. But I do know who he is. We play them this upcoming season in the second game of the year.
What kind of financial support do you guys have?
just like anybody else, right? Money is it's a subject that's sort of kind of, it's talked about, but there's not a lot of action, to be honest with you. There's support there, and I think, for me, and talking to and being around the HBCU scene for so long, and I say this loosely, the problem is the people in this room, the older crowd, they're more willing to give. They give because the university did something for them. They give because the university provided for them. It's sort of kind of getting into my age group on down, where we have to get these folks in the boat to start giving back to the universities. Not only Albany State University, but all HBCUs. It's the younger generation that doesn't necessarily understand the torch that needs to be passed from the elders of our universities. We have to start stepping up and giving back to our universities as a younger generation. That's from my age group on down. We just, I think for the most part, we think that these universities are going to be able to stand on their own with government money, and that's the farthest from the truth, right? So I don't think they understand how athletics works. Athletics isn't provided state money, right? It's for the most part raised and fundraised in different ways from major corporations, sponsorships, and things of that magnitude. So to understand that our generation needs to step up to the plate and start delivering a little more in terms of the financial part. Yeah, they want to come to homecoming, they want to do all that, but they don't want to give back. I claim FAMU as soon as LeBron James say, I'm FAMU. As soon as somebody from Albany State does, so I'm Albany State, homecoming come, you want to be on the yard, but you won't send $1 back to support the university, right? So we have to get our younger generation in the boat along with our elders that have been given for years to make sure that our HBCUs stay afloat financially. We're a Division II school, obviously. We struggle in some financial areas, and mostly in the area of scholarships, right? There's 33 scholarships that's allotted for, 36 scholarships that's allotted for Division II. Right now, we sit at about 18, right? Because of financial strains or whatever the case may be. We get up to about 24 with fundraising through our foundation. So we're operating on a scholarship budget of about 24 scholarships, where schools like Benedict, Tuskegee, they're working with 36. So you can see where the sort of kind of the advantage is when it comes down to it. Now, that's not to say that we ain't gonna compete and kick some butt, but at the end of the day, that puts us with the 36 in a better situation to bring in more talent and not have to turn some talent away because we don't necessarily have the funding to help them get through their education academically and fees and housing and all that good stuff. So with that, that's where we sort of struggle. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have Albany have an alumni association?
They absolutely do. Yes, ma'am. National Alumni Association. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Along with you just got through saying about the players, I know you got some good teams right around your high school. So how many players come into homegrown?
From that area?
Yes.
I'm still getting to know my roster, to be honest with you. But there are several kids from the local area that are on the team. We are made up of South Georgia, Florida, Middle Georgia, and obviously the Atlanta area. And
I'll think about Clint and Worth, those two guys.
Yeah. We got Worth County. I know we at least have 2 or 3 guys from Worth County. From our own FAMU alum down in Brooks County, we got about 4 or 5 guys from Brooks County as well. So that South Georgia area right there down 82 is well represented in our program. And we have, extended that net because in the state of Georgia, we have what we call the border waiver. So if the state touches Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, those students are allowed to have in-state tuition. right? So that saves people $13,000 in terms of tuition coming to Albany State. So that sort of kind of gives us an added advantage when it comes down to getting recruits in and things like that. 'Cause we signed, out of the 18 this year, I think 10 of them are from the state of Florida. So we were able to bring those Florida kids in as in-state students, if that makes sense, right? So, and then with that, you know, we still go outside of those sort of kind of limits, although we don't need to. When it presents itself as a student athlete, that's going to really help us or give us, we have an opportunity to recruit Texas, Mississippi, things like that, that'll allow us to also develop a different waiver for those kids to get into school and do what we need them to do academically and athletically. So, yes, sir.
What about Tallahassee area? Do you have any?
We signed 3 from the Tallahassee area this year. We got 2 out of Lincoln. We should have had 3 out of Lincoln. One decided he wanted to go to what's that? Daytona. Yeah, down there. That's cool. Daytona. But you know, it's all good. I say that name loosely. I don't. But anyway, the Tallahassee area obviously for me is near and dear, so I'm definitely gonna be here soliciting talent. You know, whatever Coach Simmons don't get or he let me have, you know what I mean. We'll be good to go. But yeah, the Tallahassee area is well represented. Actually, the SIAC 2021 Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year is right here from Lincoln, Pierre. That just graduated and participated in the Legacy Bowl as well. So Tallahassee is well represented in Albany. Yes, sir.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown?
Prince Brown.
That name doesn't ring a bell.
I know he used to be a vice president.
Oh, okay. No, that name won't ring a bell right now. Yes, sir.
Coach, I know you were here last year, coaching. But I still had a good short window.
The back that I saw on film was Cam Ward that played against, you talking about playing against FAMU?
Yeah.
Number 24. Cam Ward he's back. I'm happy to have him back. Yeah. Yes, he's back. We did lose 1 or 2 to graduation. We didn't lose any backs well, take that back. We lost 1 to the portal. But looking at film, see, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I tell kids, man, and I say this with all due respect, if you leave, I didn't win a game with you or lose a game with you. So at the end of the day, if you decide that Albany State ain't where you want to be, then by all means, make sure you find a place for you, right? Because we want folks that want to be in Albany, Georgia, at Albany State. So if you were there and decided to leave because of a coach change, you weren't all in anyway. So when it comes down to it, yeah, we did lose a few. We lost a few good ones, but if they ain't want to be at Albany State, I ain't want them there. All right. Yes, sir. The game, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Yeah, we try to get you there and get you home. All right, get you there and get you home. Any other home games that we got besides homecoming and senior day are 2 p.m. and then any other home games will be at 4 p.m. So we can get people in, get people out. 2.5 hours from Atlanta, 4 o'clock, game over by 8, you can still drive home, right? Tallahassee, 8, 9:30, 10 o'clock, you home, right? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, we have ESPN, not probably perception. If you read my line, you transition into the question I had about the border waiver, because that's been something on my mind for the last several years. I've been wondering if FAMU could get yeah, but I've been hoping they ain't gonna do it.
I don't know if you understand the influx of students.
Yeah.
That we'll be back to the 90s in terms of
right.
entrance and guys, the what you call it? The total students that we got on campus. Enrollment.
Well, I know. I always felt that FAMU's at a disadvantage because we don't have it and others do.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if it's at a disadvantage for FAMU because FAMU gonna get the best of the best anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying in
Yeah.
terms of enrollment and allowing students that are right in across the street in Georgia, and say like an Albany or Tifton or whatever the case, and they coming right down the street. I get what you're saying, but that's his problem.
Yeah, we of course brought that up years ago. Just so obviously being in the state system, we have to abide by all the rules that all the other system schools do. So the state really places an emphasis now on South, the Caribbean, the islands. They want more of an international enrollment. So that's where those students get in-state tuition. So if you're from the islands, you can come here, for in-state tuition. But South Georgia, Alabama, that's no longer the focus of the state system. They want more students from the state of Florida and international. So, but yeah, of course we're fighting for it because Coach Foot up here at Brooks County, Foot been wearing me out about not being able to get South Georgia kids, but it's about double the cost to get a kid from Thomasville, Brooks County, than it is to get one from Miami. So that's why we don't have that border rule that other states have. So.
Good. Sinclair, what's up, man? Sinclair been doing this thing. I ain't gonna tell your age. Had a good time with Sinclair on this podcast this past weekend. Does a wonderful job making sure that get the news to you guys about whatever and anything going on with FAMU football in the Tallahassee area. You've been doing it a long time. I do appreciate you, Sinclair. Vaughn, I'm going to say this publicly, although I've already said it. Vaughn has been a wonderful, wonderful help to me in my transition to Albany State. He's been up and down the road on my recruiting weekends, doing my picture sessions for my recruits. Did a phenomenal job bringing his trusted assistants with him, Layla and his son, and even sent them up by themselves one time, and they did a phenomenal job, right? So you train up a child, right? I want to thank him publicly for what he's done for my start at Albany State, because I'm sure I'm going to call him a couple more times. But I do appreciate everything. I appreciate you all and with the support as well, both publicly and privately. Several calls, several congratulations, good lucks. I thank you all for that. I look forward to seeing you all in the stands at Albany State. Hopefully we can get this rivalry back together and get each other back on the schedule. Hopefully we can get that done in the next year or two, but for the time being, I give my blessings to Coach Simmons and his staff for moving forward to the 2023 season. Many blessings to him and his football program for a safe and injury-free spring. And the same thing for us here at Albany State. Thank the good Lord for the opportunity to be here. Yes, sir.
Would you have any TV contracts or anything like that?
I do know the Classic in New York will be televised. I'm not sure about, I think the one in Brunswick with Savannah State will be too, but we're still getting information on that stuff as we speak.
What's the name of the classic in New York?
The HBCU Classic. It's something simple. That's what they gave us, HBCU Classic. Any other questions? Again, thank you all for being here. First of all, thank you all for welcoming me, and go Rams.
Coach Gray, I want you to know that Coach Simmons feels pretty strongly about you as well. When I told him that you were going to be our speaker, he said, "Great, fantastic." When come introduce me, yeah. I never know what kind of reaction I'm going to get when I call him, So Coach Simmons, do you have any final words for us?
No, I just y'all do have something in common because y'all both lie. So, Eddie acts like he runs things this house, and Quinn said nobody puts more pressure, but he started backpedaling real quick, and he realized he had mentioned the wife. So we know who runs all three of our households. So, but three smart men for that, definitely smart men. But no, just again, great to see everyone here today, like Quinn said, and he has our full support there, and anytime Rattlers go anywhere, we're 100% behind them. So I will be encouraging everyone to support during that weekend. Can't promise I'll be there, brother. That's my birthday weekend, so me and Eddie might be on the beach somewhere. But everybody else probably can go up there and support you. But no, definitely look forward to seeing everyone this season, and we will be supporting you 100%. And of course, you always know just a phone call away, and we'll definitely looking forward to connecting. So, any questions for me before we let you guys break? I know it's getting later in the afternoon. Yes, sir.
Hey, new receiver coach, I've been getting questions about it, but I don't know nothing about who it is or when they're coming in or nothing.
Well, we'll definitely make sure we get him here. Hopefully next week we may be able to bring him here. He's officially on board now. Antonio Carter, and AC as we call him. Antonio's a local product, so we actually played against each other in high school. I went to Shanks, he went to Rickards, so we were rivals in high school. He was highly recruited as well. Played college football at the University of Alabama. Went in, was having a promising career, and then had a major leg injury that derailed his college career, and then he got into the coaching profession. So he's been around, coached at App State, Eastern Michigan, Stanford, been around a little few places, and so at Alabama as a grad assistant. So, but again, local guy, brings a wealth of knowledge, but just a high energy guy. You really enjoy watching him coach, just by the amount of passion that he brings. And we practice early in the morning. We're out there at 6:30, and when I walk in the building at 6:05, he's the loudest thing in the building every day. And but just so excited to be back. We've talked about this for a long time, just having a chance to work together. Things just never aligned to be that way. But when I had the opportunity to hire him, when Coach Barassa left, he was recently at Miles as their receivers coach and recruiting coordinator, and the chance to come back home. His mom obviously lives right there in Crawfordville, or headed to Crawfordville. His family's here, and so he's excited to be back home. But I'll try to get him here, Ed, if it's okay, next week, and let you guys get a chance to talk to him and meet him. But he's a local guy, grew up right here, went to Nims Middle School and went to Rickards High School, so he grew up running around these parts, and so he's all familiar with the South Side. Not that I know of. Hopefully not. but no. No, we the only this is the least amount of, knock on wood, the transition that we've had. We only lost one coach, which was Coach Barassa. Everyone else returned. Now he did have an opportunity to take the job, but he turned it down to stay. My special teams coordinator had an opportunity to go and take a job in the SEC. He turned it down to stay. So we were blessed this year that guys decided to stay on board and finish what we started. And so we're excited about the group and a lot of carryover from last season.
How about our ambassador?
They were talking about Ocho. But yeah, no, that's AD Sykes' hire, so to speak. So she reached out to him, and she actually asked me when she first got the job, because anybody who follows social media, Chad Johnson, he always posts stuff in FAMU gear. Always, every time you see him, he has on FAMU gear, and so people would joke around about him coming to coach here and all that kind of stuff. So she asked me when she first got the job, so hey, have you ever talked to him? And I said, well, we've spoken a time or two, but he didn't want to coach, and she said, I'm gonna reach out to him. I said, oh, okay, and kind of left it alone. That was back in January, and lo and behold, the announcement was made last week that he's serving as our ambassador, so to speak. So, but no, he's excited. I tell you what, he really loves FAMU. Like, it's not just talk. This weekend I was down at the cigar shop. Of course, Coach Gray and I frequented a lot. Joe Bullard was there as well. So I said, so Joe asked me about him. I said, well, Joe, he really wants to be in the 100. Like that's really his thing. Like he wants to be in the March 100. So Joe was like, well, whatever. So this is probably 11:30. I text him. I said, hey, I'm sitting here. I said, if you had a chance, would you rather come play wide receiver for FAMU, or coach receivers, or be a drum major? He said, oh, be a drum major, 100%. Like, no questions asked. So he wants to be a drum major in the March 100. So I don't know if that's in the works, but no, he is extremely excited to be able to officially represent FAMU in that capacity. He won't be here on a day-to-day basis, so I don't anticipate him coming to 220 because I don't think he'll be here very much. But I think he does plan to come to the spring game. He did mention that, and I'm sure that a couple of times throughout the year he'll be here, to support in whatever way he can. So if we can get him here, we'll definitely try to. But yeah, so no, Chad won't be in the field house coaching receivers. We have a receivers coach. But no, he is excited about being able to officially represent the brand. And we want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Walker who helped FAMU All-Stars on today. So those going to sell, Dr. Walker? You got those from APB? The little store right there that sells all the high-end FAMU stuff. Yeah. So,
Have you seen her socks?
matching socks and everything. I thought she was going to get Tommy because Tommy got the FAMU embroidered in black. I ain't seen that one time with FAMU in black, so I thought I was walking here and Dr. Walker was thought Dr. Walker was going to be on your back when I walked in.
No, she can't make it. I wear FAMU every day. I wear any color I want. It's gonna say FAMU.
All right.
Roy got on a black FAMU cardigan. Roll with Tommy, huh? It's just they rebels. They'll turn into rebels here at the 220 Club. I tell you the truth. I need to be one of them. I like that. I won't wear it around Dr. Walker, but I wear it everywhere else. Sometimes. All right. Well, good deal. Well, hey, if anybody is up at 6 a.m. in the morning, I know Eddie usually gets his walks in that time, but Tuesday, Thursdays, we're on the field, and then Saturdays, we will have our first scrimmage this coming Saturday. As always, there's closed, but because of the relationship we have and what you guys do, if anybody wants to come out and support us, Vaughn, we still rolling. Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't say that loud. but if anybody feels wants to come out and get a sneak preview of the guys in our first scrimmage this coming Saturday, we'll definitely extend that to the 220 quarterback club and the boosters because of your commitment to.
He said he would cut it up.
No, I'm live.
We will be at, I think it starts at 3, if I'm not mistaken. 2 or 3, I'll check the time, let you know. So we'll set you up in the stands and hopefully get you covered. It'll be probably warm out there. But yeah, so that'll be one. We'll do 2 scrimmages, and then obviously the spring game will be April 15th. But look forward to seeing everyone out there. But we'll be back next week. Like I said, I'll get Coach Carter. Make sure you can come by and everyone officially get to meet him. Thank you guys. Appreciate it as always. Go Rattlers.
Before my wife shoots me, where's Walter Spencer? Walter, at what time is the funeral and where? Okay, 11 o'clock, Saturday, Richmond Center. That's your sister-in-law? Yeah, okay. Thanks, Walter. Don't forget to sign the card for Martha Wilson and Miss Gaiman and somebody else. Jerry, who's the third one? And John Lawrence. Okay, here's yeah, paying for the gas.
Oh, Willie.
The head of President of our boosters, 7 o'clock.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to let you all know that we did our booster meeting last night, and that we did elected 7 new board of trustees members, and I think we got 1, 2, Two of them are members of 220, and they are present here this time, and I'd like to welcome our two new Booster Board members, Dr. Leila Walker and Zachary Ansley. They will be coming on per the Board of Trustees approval. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for what they do for Rattler Boosters. This weekend, softball is playing Bethune-Cookman at the softball field.